Cultural history, precursor to the present and future. For any study of culture, an awareness of your historical heritage helps to explain the current values, traditions, and institutions that guide your daily life. Immigrants who came to the U.S. from Europe brought with them a culture that was also historically influenced by other cultures. The Western legal system, for example, is a product of ancient Rome, and Christianity came from Jerusalem. History can also inform us about communication and behaviors we adopt today. There is also a direct link between history and identity. The national history of any country becomes an important force in unifying a nation's various social strata. Historical events, therefore, provide insight into and help explain national character. History as we know it is thus predicated on two assumptions. The first is that historical events help explain the character and actions of a culture. The second is that what a culture seeks to remember and pass on to following generations is significant in accounting for the values of that culture. But it should be remembered that it is sometimes difficult to recognize the influence of history on culture because it contains elements of the deep structure of a culture. A culture's history affects perception, behavior, and how people relate to other cultures. It is also a key element in developing a culture's value of independence and self-reliance. For example, geography and a lengthy history of authoritarian rule have helped shape the Russian national character. China's long history record of cultural achievements and Western exploitation in the 19th and 20th century strongly influenced Chinese contemporary worldview. The 1947 partition of India was a result of Hindu-Muslim discord that began hundreds of years earlier and continues today. Muslim countries of North Africa have suffered from Western colonization at times, brutal and oppressive, and are thus wary of the West's motivations and behaviors and concerned about imposition of will and values. Think of their aversion, for example, to women's equality or gender issues. The history of the Crusades with the Middle East is another historical event whose impact endures to this day. The U.S.'s early historical experience promoted values of independence and self-reliance. Its experience with 9/11, for example, affects its behavior towards Islamic nations. The Mexican-American War still shapes the behavior of the two countries. Locally, U.S.'s historical record of slavery, treatment of indigenous people, and the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II have all influenced behavior one way or the other. Or think about how Japan's demographic separation, geographic isolation, and sense of self-consciousness manifest themselves during interaction with other cultures. Think about World War II and its impact on multiple nations. Think about the impact of globalization and technology on all those different cultures and countries. But keep in mind that there are positive influences too, such as art and the appreciation of literature and trade and the exchange of scientific knowledge. This is also a way forward. Do we need to know the history of every country in order to communicate effectively? Of course, it is impossible to do that. However, you may want to keep in mind that your perception of a historical event may differ from another's perception depending on the historical experience and many other cultural and historical factors. Those differences in intercultural communication may cause confusion, impede understanding, or even create alienation. It is therefore always advisable before you visit a country to be aware of their history because it will explain behaviors.